Max and Mia explore the cave labyrinths. It was a sunny summer day when Max and Mia, a curious brother and sister, wandered through the forest. They had been there many times before and knew every tree, every clearing, and every hidden trail. But today, the forest seemed different, more mysterious, as if it wanted to show them something important. "Look, Mia!" Max suddenly exclaimed. He had spotted something he had never seen before. An old stone wall overgrown with moss and ivy, hidden behind thick bushes. Mia approached, and together they pushed aside the branches. To their surprise, they uncovered a narrow cave entrance that seemed to lead deep underground. "Where do you think it goes?" Mia asked excitedly. She loved adventures, just like her brother. "We'll only find out if we go inside," Max replied with a smile, without hesitation. They both crawled into the dark tunnel. The descent was steep and slippery, but soon they reached solid ground. Gradually, their eyes adjusted to the darkness, and they saw a long passage ahead. "This feels like a fairy tale," Mia whispered. "There must be treasure or some mystery here," Max nodded, and together they set off to explore the tunnel. The further they went, the cooler and quieter it became. Soon, all they could hear were their footsteps and the sound of water dripping somewhere far away. After a while, the tunnel split into two paths. Max stopped and looked at his sister. "Which way should we go?" he asked. Mia paused, thinking for a moment, then confidently pointed to the right. "This way. I have a good feeling about it." They took the right path, but they had barely gone a few steps when they heard a soft rustling. From a dark corner emerged a small creature. It was a salamander, its skin shimmering faintly in the dim light. "Greetings, both of you," the salamander said in a quiet voice. "You've entered the cave labyrinths. Many have come here, but not all have found their way out." Max and Mia exchanged a curious, slightly nervous glance. "What is a cave labyrinth?" Mia asked. "It's a very old place," the salamander explained. "A labyrinth formed by the earth's depths, full of mysteries but also dangers. Only those with courage, wisdom, and attentiveness will find the way out." "We have courage," Max exclaimed. "And we have wisdom." The salamander smiled. "Then I wish you luck. Remember, you must always stay together and pay attention to the signs the labyrinth has prepared for you." With those words, the salamander slipped through a crack in the wall and disappeared. Max and Mia watched it go, feeling a mix of excitement and anticipation. They knew something extraordinary awaited them. The tunnel they had chosen soon turned into a narrow path that branched out even more. The walls seemed to whisper, and shadows danced in strange patterns on the stone. But Max and Mia were unafraid. Alert and curious, they continued to explore every corner of the labyrinth. After some time, they entered a large hall with a floor covered in gleaming crystals. In the center lay a massive stone, engraved with a riddle: "We are brother and sister. Whenever you see one of us, the other disappears." "Who are we?" Max frowned. "That's tricky. Brother and sister who never see each other." Mia thought for a moment. Then her face lit up. "It must be day and night. When it's day, we don't see the night. And when it's night, we don't see the day." As soon as Mia spoke, the stone began to glow. Behind it, a narrow passage opened in the wall, and Max and Mia realized they were on the right path. The new tunnel led them deeper into the labyrinth until they faced a massive wall covered in glowing symbols. The symbols seemed to be arranged randomly, but Max and Mia noticed that some of them could be moved. "It's a puzzle," Max said. "We need to arrange the symbols correctly." Mia looked closer at the symbols. The sun, trees, animals. "Maybe we need to arrange them to tell a story," she suggested. Together, the siblings moved the symbols back and forth until they formed a coherent image, a cycle of life in the forest. When the final symbol clicked into place, a new path opened in the wall before them. "We did it!" Mia exclaimed proudly. Together, Max added, and they continued their journey, ready for the next challenge. As they walked through another tunnel, the walls became damp, and drops of water began to fall from the ceiling. Suddenly, they heard a gentle splashing and saw a small pool of water. Swimming in it was a peculiar creature with pink skin and feathery gills. "What's that?" Mia asked curiously. The creature turned to them and smiled warmly. "Hello, both of you. I'm an axolotl, and I live here in the moist caves. It seems you could use some information." "An axolotl?" Max repeated, surprised. "We've never seen anything like you." "I'm quite rare, that's true," the axolotl replied. "But let me tell you something about my home. Do you see the drops falling from the ceiling? That's water condensing from the humid air. When the air cools, the moisture turns into water, which trickles down the walls and ceiling." Mia watched, fascinated, as a drop fell from a long, pointed rock on the ceiling. "What are those long, pointed rocks hanging from the ceiling?" she asked. "Those are stalactites," the axolotl explained. "They grow very slowly as water drips down, leaving behind calcite. Over time, this forms long cones." Max pointed to a similar rock rising from the cave floor. "What about this one? It looks almost the same, but it's the opposite." "That's a stalagmite," the axolotl said. "It grows when water drips from a stalactite onto the ground, leaving calcite deposits there. You can easily remember their names. Stalactites hang down like the letter T in their name, and stalagmites rise from the ground like the letter M." "That's so interesting," Mia exclaimed. "I didn't know caves could be so fascinating." "Caves are full of wonders," the axolotl agreed, "and you've only just begun to discover them. Always observe carefully and ask questions. There's always something to learn." "Thank you, axolotl," Max said, and Mia nodded in agreement. The axolotl waved goodbye with its feathery gills and dove back into the water. Max and Mia continued on their way, now even more eager to discover what else the labyrinth held. Their journey led them to a rickety wooden bridge spanning a deep chasm. The wood creaked ominously beneath their feet as they cautiously stepped across. The abyss below seemed bottomless, and the siblings knew one wrong step could lead to a fall. Max's legs trembled, but he clenched his teeth and held Mia's hand tightly. "We have to stick together," he reminded her, "and we'll make it." Step by step, they carefully crossed the bridge until they finally reached the other side. Mia sighed in relief as her feet touched solid ground again. "That was dangerous," she said with a small smile. "But we made it," Max replied proudly. After crossing the bridge, the labyrinth felt much more welcoming. Soon, they entered a vast hall with a high ceiling. The silence was almost unreal, until they heard a soft rustle. Out of the darkness flew a bat, which landed gently on a ledge near the children. "Who are you?" the bat asked in a thin but confident voice, its eyes glinting in the faint light. "I'm Max, and this is my sister, Mia," Max introduced them. "We're trying to find our way out of the labyrinth. You've already overcome many challenges," the bat said, "but before you leave the labyrinth, you must face one final trial." Max and Mia exchanged glances, ready for whatever came next. "What do we need to do?" Mia asked. The bat spread its wings and gestured to a group of stalactites and stalagmites scattered seemingly at random across the cave. "There's a secret sequence in this cave," the bat explained. "If you touch the stalactites and stalagmites in the correct order, the exit will open. But be careful if you touch the wrong pair. The exit will remain sealed." "How will we know the right sequence?" Max asked thoughtfully. "Listen to the sounds of the cave," the bat replied. "If you pay close attention, the dripping water will guide you." Max and Mia stepped closer to the formations and closed their eyes for a moment to focus. They heard the soft drip of water falling from the stalactites and noticed that some drops made a clear, ringing sound while others sounded duller. "I think the louder drops marked the right pairs," Mia whispered. "We did it!" Mia exclaimed proudly. "Together," Max added, and they continued their journey, ready for the next challenge. As they walked through another tunnel, the walls became damp, and drops of water began to fall from the ceiling. Suddenly, they heard a gentle splashing and saw a small pool of water. Swimming in it was a peculiar creature with pink skin and feathery gills. "What's that?" Mia asked curiously. The creature turned to them and smiled warmly. "Hello, both of you. I'm an axolotl, and I live here in the moist caves. It seems you could use some information." "An axolotl?" Max repeated, surprised. "We've never seen anything like you. I'm quite rare." "That's true," the axolotl replied. "But let me tell you something about my home. Do you see the drops falling from the ceiling? That's water condensing from the humid air. When the air cools, the moisture turns into water, which trickles down the walls and ceiling." Mia watched, fascinated, as the drop fell from a long, pointed rock on the ceiling. "What are those long, pointed rocks hanging from the ceiling?" she asked. "Those are stalactites," the axolotl explained. "They grow very slowly as water drips down, leaving behind calcite. Over time, this forms long cones." Max pointed to a similar rock rising from the cave floor. "What about this one? It looks almost the same, but it's the opposite." Carefully, they touched the corresponding stalactites and stalagmites in the sequence indicated by the sounds. With each correct pair, the cave grew slightly brighter. When they touched the final pair, they heard a soft hum, and a hidden passage opened in the wall. "You've done it," the bat said with a satisfied smile. "Thanks to your patience and attentiveness, you've found a way out of the labyrinth. The exit is right ahead of you." Max and Mia thanked the bat and stepped into the tunnel, which eventually led them outside. When they felt the warm sunlight on their skin again, they realized that not only had they found their way out of the labyrinth, but they had also learned valuable lessons.